the October 2020 meeting for the Zoning Board of Appeals, and welcome everybody who is here to join us. First thing I would like is we have an agenda, and I would like to have a motion to approve that agenda.
Move to approve.
Thanks, Mick. Second. Todd, second.
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the meeting minutes from the last meeting, which are not available tonight. So I would look for a motion for someone to postpone the approval of this meet to the next meeting.
Yeah, move to waive reading and approving last month's meeting minutes tonight and proceed with the balance of the agenda.
Second.
Second.
Thanks, Adam. All right, let's move on to the case, to the subject that is before us with the Thorntons. Would you please present what you have for us?
Yeah, and I can give a quick overview, and I believe, Hank, you had mentioned in an email that you had a PowerPoint with some photos.
Yeah, I'm just going to show the photos of this. This is really pretty straightforward. So I was out at your house. I met your wife. I was taking some photos that pretty much explain this. So.
By the way, guys, I'm Sarah, and this is James, and we just moved into the neighborhood at the end of June, and we're very happy to be here. James is going to do all of the talking for us today, but I at least wanted to say hello and introduce ourselves. It's nice to meet all of you via Zoom.
Thank you.
Welcome.
To you.
Thank you.
So, Hank, do you want me to give the voiceover, or do you want to pull this
Why don't you
up?
just start out, because I want to make sure you get your chance to do that. And then I think some of the photos that I've taken, along with some of the comments I might have, should, if I miss anything, you're certainly welcome to come back to it if you feel there's something that I've missed.
Yeah, that works. I'll give the quick background. So, as Sarah mentioned, we moved into the neighborhood the end of June. The previous tenants moved into this house in 2017, I believe, and they did quite a bit of renovations to the house, including an addition to the back of the house. Prior to 2017, there was the driveway gate that you'll see if you look up the address on Zillow. It's still the old photos are still on there. So there was a driveway gate there for a number of years, and the previous tenants removed the gate. So, really, I think the simplest way to put it is we're just looking to reinstall the gate in the same location it was at previously. I think the nuance to it and why it's a conversation this evening is one of the renovations they made to the house was there was a side door there previously, and they blocked in that side door. So previously the gate was enclosing the side door. They've since blocked that in. And then now the back door of the house is off of the extension that they added. So really, I think, our issue with not wanting to put it at the back of the house where the extension is I drive a large vehicle. I drive an SUV. Sarah drives an electric vehicle, so she needs to be close to the garage to do her charging, and just the way the extension is set up on the house to put it at the very back where it would technically go would really give us no room to get cars in behind it. And then the only other thing to note on top of that, just pulling on the heartstrings maybe a little bit, is we have a 4-year-old puppy who's an Alaskan Husky and loves to be outside and stretch her legs and kind of hang out outside all day. And moving the gate to the back of the house would kind of, she's already very limited on her yard space, and even though it seems probably minuscule, there's very limited room for her to kind of roam around. So that extra, whatever it is, 20, 25 feet, to have it a little bit further up where it was previously, would definitely give her a little bit more room. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the brief summary of it. And Hank, doesn't know if this is the appropriate time to share the photos or what you want to do from that perspective.
I'm happy to add to what you've already said, and then if there's any comments or questions, or you would like to add on it, the chair, I'm sure, would be happy to give you an opportunity for that. So I'm going to go ahead here, and can everybody see that?
I see what looks to be a
Small
file with
pictures.
a number of pictures on it.
Okay, you don't see the actual house?
No.
It's very
Okay, hold on.
small.
We
Hold
do
on.
have, we do have an email from you with the photos and the site plan attached.
Right, no, I understand. I just want to make sure that I give the, hold on here. All right,
Hank, maybe while you're figuring that out, I think one thing to add that I maybe didn't touch on is just the appearance of the gate. Previously they had a wrought iron, just flat gate up, and that's essentially the same thing we would be looking to do. Just a very, kind of understated wrought iron gate. I think, Sarah, it's 4 feet high, the one we're looking at. So not, overly massive gate or anything like that. It's got a nice style to it. It's not, chain link or anything like that. Just a nice 4 foot tall wrought iron
If
gate.
anything, it's better than before because it's more clean looking, brand new.
well, even with that, part of the thing that I have here, let me see if I can share from here. Can you see that one?
Nope.
I don't see any of your screen.
Yeah, you must
That's
have
what
just
you're
cut us
asking.
off from sharing screen.
Hold on. Let me,
Host disabled participant screen sharing.
all right,
So
hold on. Okay,
I'm going to take over this and say, is there anyone who wants to issue a motion for this?
yeah, that would be,
Because it's straightforward.
yeah. The pictures that I had were just showing the fact that the garage, everything was perfectly legal until the guy before him took the door out.
could I ask some questions? Mr.
Sure.
I'm addressing this question to the chair. Perhaps we could have a few questions, a little discussion before trying to frame a motion.
That's fine, Mitch. I agree with that. I was looking for a shortcut, but now that you brought that up, that's fine. Please continue.
One question I have, I'm looking at the, no, I've lost it here, but the drawing that was sent as part of the proposal for the new fence. According to the history of the property, as I understand it, the Thorntons purchased this property after the side door was bricked in. Is that correct? So that there's no side door when you took possession of the house?
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
I can't tell from the drawing whether the side door that used to exist was in front or in back of the gate.
It was behind the gate previously.
So the gate enclosed the door that used to exist.
That is correct.
All right. So Hank, if the door were still there,
We wouldn't be here.
then there would be no issue because it would fit the general permission to have a 4-foot fence in a certain distance in front of a side door.
Absolutely correct.
So the problem here is, although the current occupant would like to have exactly the same gate that used to exist, that there's no longer a door.
That is correct.
And I take it that the current occupant does not wish to install a door or open that back up.
That would also be correct. That would also be correct.
All right.
What they've done, and correct me if I'm wrong, Thorntons, is that they've created a pantry behind that where the side door used to be, and they've utilized that space on the inside. So it wouldn't be possible without a lot of interior renovation to open that back up. So the problem is that all the space that used to be there isn't there. And then when you have two vehicles and you stack them in the driveway, that's roughly 40 feet. And that doesn't really give them a lot of room for the vehicles. One will actually have to be beside the rearmost portion of the house.
See, all right, Hank, let me ask you a follow-up question. Could you remind the board as to the planning rationale behind permitting fences in front of the rear line of the house if there's a side door?
Yeah, the original portion was is that they could give the kids room to exit the house while being secured behind a fence, or a dog to exit the house while being secured behind a fence, and allowing the additional space to become part of the rear yard.
So there is, could we generalize that, say their legislative purpose in allowing this type of fence in that location, that generally speaking, the city commission favored the idea of a fully enclosed rear yard?
That is correct.
All right. Now, if in looking at the site plan for the fence to go back in, the gate to go back in, it looks to me like, given the size of the garage, where it's situated, the way the backyard's shaped, et cetera, that it would be almost impossible to have any rational, fully fenced-in enclosure of the rear yard and still use the garage.
That is, and still use the garage or the driveway to park vehicles while still having an enclosure. That
See,
would
I
be
mean,
correct.
I think that if we wish to approve that, that's the crux of the matter, which is that if we accept that it's reasonable to, for whatever reason, to have a fully fenced-in rear yard, that we could approve a variance because of the peculiar layout of this house and the lot and the size and location of the garage.
You could certainly do that.
This sort of
You-
prefigures a motion. The reason for this is the dog issue, which is always appealing, and you have that nice photo, is kind of not the basis for variances because dogs come and go. And a variance is supposed to be a little bit more attuned to the permanent aspects of the property and the way it's been developed, not whether somebody chooses to have a pet or not and so on. But my view here is that if there's a general policy of allowing a full enclosure, then you're up against the set of objective circumstances that don't allow that unless we grant this variance, regardless of the disappearance of the side door.
If that's what you wish to move and you had support for it, that would be fine. The point about the door being there and not being there may lend itself to an architectural argument.
Yeah, I agree. But I just want to say, now, Mr. Chair, if you want to, we can keep discussing. I've dominated this whole discussion, but you've heard the motion I would make, which would be to support the variance and the rationale, or I've already given.
I would
sug-
I would like to open it up to public participation, if there is any. Anybody who is wishing to speak about this from the public, please speak up now.
Hank, this is Jim Park. I'm on the board, not on the.
Yeah, hey, Jim.
Good
Good
sorry.
to see you.
Yeah, my computer decided to do a Windows update right at 7:30, so sorry. I'm
Oh,
late.
no.
So I did have a question. So in 4-10.10, I just kind of reviewed it. It says that the side fence can't exceed forward of the midpoint of the house or three feet forward of the door toward the street. Am I reading that correctly?
You are
So it-
reading that correctly, and that's why Mitch is addressing it as part of the enclosure.
Yeah, because in the drawing that was sent over, I didn't see any scaling on it, but in the drawing from the fence company, it looked like the point was rearward of the midpoint of the house anyway. And it
It's
does
like
say,
if you, when you're out there
or-
on the site and you look at it, it is, it does show that you have, it does show that you have, it's more than 50% forward. But regardless of which, Mitch's motion would encompass that.
okay,
Yeah.
and does the new fence position, would it be?
It would be
If the
100,
door were still there, would it be in the right position?
it would be perfectly legal.
Okay. No more questions for me. Thank you.
We wouldn't be here, Jim, if that was the case and the door was still here, we wouldn't have to be having this discussion.
All right, thanks. I was a little thrown off by the scale, but okay. Thank
Yep.
you.
Then I'll close that part of the public participation, and then I'm going to open it again since, Jim, you're not part of the public. Anybody from the member of the public would like to make a discussion about this, please so. I don't see any, so I'm going to close the public participation portion of the meeting. Thank you. I am now looking for either further discussion from the board members or a motion.
Mitch, if you wanted to proffer your motion and see if,
I move that we approve the variance for the reasons stated by me prior to saying that I would make the motion. And the summary basically is that that Huntington Woods appears to have a policy that, for the reasons that Hank stated, favors the right of or ability of a homeowner to enclose their rear yard completely. And the rationale for having the door exception, the side door exception, was because that would be a place where people would be coming in and out as opposed to just out the rear. In this case, there is no door, and I don't think you can approve a variance based on the disappearance of the door. It's just a fact, it's gone. So what you have, what I'm arguing instead is that normally I would say, well, why don't we just put a gate down essentially the driveway heading toward the garage, but it's clear that that doesn't work for a variety of reasons, including you put the gate there, you cut off half the garage, the driveway is very short. If you put the gate across the driveway right at the rear line, et cetera, which I think Hank argued clearly in his presentation of the facts. So that the argument here is that if the physical circumstances of the placement of the house and the garage and the driveway on the lot are such that it's impossible to fully enclose the rear yard without putting a gate somewhat forward, as is accepted normally for a side door property, that would give the type of physical, or create the type of physical practical impossibility that supports a variance on a dimensional issue.
so if I could maybe, if I could, Mitch, correct me if I'm not getting what you want. The abbreviated version of that with the excellent rationale would be is that you're moving to approve this ordinance based on the fact that it meets the spirit and intent of the ordinance and would do substantial justice to the applicants. Is that?
Yes, that the proposal is a reasonable proposal for the improvement of the property, and that there's an inability to do so in any other acceptable manner due to a practical difficulty with the placement of the various existing structures on the property.
Hank, did we lose you?
No, I'm here.
Okay.
Just changed his seat.
Can we, I mean, if that's a motion, I can, I'll move on to second that.
That is a motion.
Okay, go
I'm
ahead.
just trying to create a record of the rationale.
Would the
Right.
motion be limited to so many feet forward to the midpoint, or would this enable them
At
to
the
put?
proposed location.
And the location, just so that everybody's clear on this, the posts are there.
Right.
So basically all they're doing is they're putting the gate back up. The area's already been defined. So if somebody wanted to make an amendment to Mitch's motion to the area which has already been defined by the posts and the gate, that would
Right.
also be something, assuming Mitch would accept it.
That was, perhaps I didn't say it, but the intent of the motion was to provide a variance to place the gate at the proposed location.
Right. Okay.
I'm good with that.
I'm good with it.
Okay, all right. Maybe the chairman has lost control. How about a motion, please?
You
Do we
There's
have
a motion on the floor that's been seconded, I believe.
yeah.
We've gone with Mitch's and I seconded it.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? None.
You both
Sarah's
doesn't count.
voting.
Members of, point of order, members of the applicant cannot vote. Even for fun.
Thanks, Mitch.
but we appreciate the effort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Thornton.
Enthusiasm. Yeah.
Please move forward as needed.
You're all set.
Perfect.
Basically, all you have to do, James, is to get a fence permit, and you're good to go.
Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank
Okay.
you all. Good to meet you all virtually and hopefully connect with you guys in person soon.
We may, with the executive orders, we may. So,
Have
okay,
a good night.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have no other subjects in front of us, so I'd like to open it up again for public participation on anything that is relevant to what we are doing here, period. You know, the period is because you use the text, everything, that's what that's all about.
Okay, just for some, I do have one other informational thing for you folks. Based on the court decision that reduced the governor's powers or declared them illegal, we may be meeting to reaffirm decisions that we have made since June. And what we may have to do is we may have to have, if we have to have in-person meetings, we may have to meet, we may have to go, I'll have to regenerate everything that we've done since June, and we may have to restate the motions exactly as is, and then we may have to vote exactly as we voted in order to solidify those. The language is that her powers were not, or that she exceeded the scope of her authority, but they didn't put in anything to deal with any legislative action that was taken after that period of time. So depending on what the legalities of the situation turn out to be, we may have some more work to do, or we may have not. It depends on how they do that. The House was supposed to vote on something tonight, but we're unaware of anything that they've determined at this point. Mitch, you're looking at me
That
like
would
this
include
I
tonight's
think
meeting?
this is, I don't know, it's intriguing, but do we have an opinion from our city council?
We don't have an action yet. Our city commission, our city council, our city attorney says that depending on what action is taken, they will then select a course of action for us. And at that point in time, that would be the course that if it is that they say no, any action taken as a result of the governor's action would not be valid, then we would have to go redo all the votes from that particular time till now.
What-
So that we're waiting for word from. That's what I have at this point. So we will have to do that. I understand that. So
But no, I mean, I'm just curious, I mean, this seems a little odd. Doesn't the city have a right to decide if they want to have Zoom meetings in place of in-person meetings?
no. Because the Open Meetings Act, you still have to notice.
Oh,
So if we notice for
And
meetings
the-
that weren't legal to hold, then we may have to.
But
It's
I think
a, it's,
the relief under the Open Meetings Act is relief granted to somebody who complains. It doesn't
well, nobody's
automatically
going to
validate-
complain because the only person who's going to complain is somebody that's been turned down.
Well, we never
So-
turned anybody down, except I think one time we did. So we could reconsider that appeal.
Well, let's see what the city attorney, whatever the city attorney does is what I'm going to abide by because they're the one that has to defend it.
You're right.
So I will go with that, but I did want to give you a heads up depending on what these votes are as we transitions to in-person meetings, if we do, because now there's a spike in COVID cases.
I mean,
Um,
the members may choose not to attend, then you won't have a quorum.
Well, that may be, but if that's the case, that's a separate issue. So we'll see. But thanks for that thought, Mitch.
It's just a thought. I mean, honestly, it's very peculiar, but if I had, I don't know what other people on the board think, but if I had my druthers here, I'd say, let's just wait.
Well, we're not hurrying up to do anything.
The legislature and the AG and everybody figures this out.
Well, then that's what they're going to do, and long before that. So until I hear something from Carol Rosati, we're not going to move forward with anything. So
I agree with you, Mitch.
we'll figure that
We're
out as
moving.
it happens. Hi, Michael.
Sorry, guys, I got stuck on a work call.
Okay.
Understand. All right, so that's all that I have. I do not expect us to have a meeting for November, but I still have a few more days before that dies. so I will let you know.
Okay.
Okay?
Hey, Hank,
Okay,
Yeah.
Mike, you want to say anything?
move,
What I missed.
You missed
approve-
a
You missed a
unanimous
yes on a
vote to
fence.
Kate.
Okay. Looked like a short one.
Yeah, it is.
Sorry about that.
All right, not seeing any further discussion, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thanks, Todd.
Second.
Thanks, Adam. Okay,
hey, Hank, could you stay on for a minute? I have a question for
Yep,
you.
absolutely. Okay,
guys.
thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Guys.
I'll